Hello everyone, welcome to yet another video podcast here on the War Bonds channel. My name is Eric. If you don't know me, I'm a locomotive engineer by profession, an avid model railroader, and just a lifelong rail enthusiast. It's been a while since I've said that, and I apologize that it's been a long time since I've gotten a video out, but life happens, and unfortunately modeling takes the back burner sometimes. But I'm hoping to be able to give you a few updates on what I have been doing, even though I may not have been on the forefront of the social media and showing what I'm doing. I'm always still thinking about what the next step is every single day. But I was actually supposed to go down to Texas a couple weeks ago to see my friend Charles, and we were really going to get this thing to a boil. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. In this day and age, as everything gets more expensive and companies that supply parts are trying to do a lot with less. So we kind of fell victim to that. So it's just going to be a little bit longer until we have the parts to where it's beneficial for us to get together and we can actually do some damage and really get this thing going. But so hopefully we'll be looking at the beginning of the year at some point in which I travel down to Texas, and hopefully we start seeing this thing really start to take shape as we add more parts to it. In the meantime, in this video number 9 of the series, building a 1-inch scale GP60M locomotive, I have actually been working on the cab here and there. So in this video, you're going to see several different days and clips, video clips in which I was doing some work with the cab, also trying to make a cab interior. Anyway, just want to give you an introduction as to what you're going to see here. And here we go with video number 9, working on the GP60M cab and cab interior. Now, when I'm not working on the model, I think a lot of you who are modelers understand that you may not be physically working on it, but you're thinking about it. And one of the things that I had been thinking about was making a cab interior. Because let's face it, the weather is not going to be lasting like it is today. It is going to start getting cold, and then I'm going to be looking for projects to do on the inside where it's nice and warm. So what I had decided a while back is that I actually wanted to do a cab interior for this locomotive. And I thought, man, how cool would that be, to be able to do something like that. And one of the things that I was reminded of is I did a caboose, Rock Island caboose, for a customer who ended up not picking it up, and so it's still in my possession. However, when I realized that this sale was not going to be made and I still had this caboose in my possession, I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm going to do a little bit extra on it because it's now mine, and I'm going to add some extra detail. And I remember one of the things people were asking me is, hey, are you going to put an interior in this caboose? I'm like, well, I'm not really sure what I want to do. I don't know. And then the more I thought about it, it's like, I could probably do something with this. So I ended up adding a little bit more rivet detail, but then just the on the outside, and then for the inside, I actually painted the interior that drab, nasty green. That I have no clue where they actually came up with that, but between cabooses and locomotives, it's been an ugly color that's been around for years. But nonetheless, I painted that. And then did some other things with the interior, just actually cut a few wood blocks here and there, and it actually came out pretty fabulous for, no more than I really did. It didn't get super detailed with it, but when you look in there, people, it still gives them the wow factor. So anyway, with that said, I thought, I could probably do the same thing, with this locomotive, and I'm actually going to make the interior out of wood just because it's really the only thing that I've got to be able to work with, and since I'm kind of doing this on my own, I figured, well, we'll give this a shot. So the problem that I ran into is that in order to be able to put the cab interior in, which let's actually start out with some of the materials I have here. So this is going to be, you know, the floor, and then this is actually going to be, you know, part of the base. And so I basically did measuring so that by the time I put all this in and we slide it in, so what's going to happen is this will, come on baby, this will actually, at least it's supposed to anyway. There we go. So it's actually supposed to slide underneath the cab, you know, when it's all put together. However, I had a problem because the original design of this cab, as far as attaching it to the frame or to the deck, was using some tabs that were welded on to the bottom end side. Well, unfortunately, that causes a hindrance to where I would not be able to slide things down. And the more I thought about it, how do I do this? You know, is there a way to do this without compromising the detail that I want to put in there? Because, I mean, let's face it, you know, the windows are big enough that, you know, you'll be able to take a look in there and, you know, see what's going on. So I figured, you know, I don't want the detail to be hindered. So I decided I would go through the painstaking process of removing those metal tabs that had been welded on to the inside of the cab. So I actually just finished doing that a little bit ago, and while it wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be, it was still a royal pain in the butt. And if you remember in one of my previous videos, I actually used my table saw to do some cutting of some of the materials that I think it was when I was working on modifying the roof line for the dynamic brakes. I used my table saw and an old blade. Well, I realized real fast that I was putting myself into a bad situation where not only was it not working, but, well, based on the way I had to hold the cab and, you know, trying to get things to even out, it wasn't working. So I figured, all right, let me go get some professional help here. So I go and talk to my mechanic friend LJ, and he actually loaned me his cutting wheel. So yeah, these things are great. I'm thankful that he let me borrow it because it got the work done very quick, and I really need to invest in one of these if I am going to continue to work with steel like this. But anyway, as we look under here, yes, the tabs were in here, and I'll put a picture up there to show you. As you can see, you know, the tabs were, I mean, they were located in such a way that it would have been an excellent way of mounting this cab onto the frame, but because I wanted the cab interior, and it just seems like if we're gonna go, you know, through so much work to make this as good as we possibly can, you know, I gotta have that cab interior in there. So anyway, but I got the tabs cut out, you know, so that we could make it fit, and of course, you know, using the cutting tool here. So anyway, so as I said, you know, the parts that I have here are just basically, you know, going to be, you know, attached, you know, to be able to make a base that, as I showed you, the cab will slip over. So as you can see here, I have them all removed on each side. However, what I'm carefully doing here is in the corners here, I use the grinding tool to knock down the weld beads, just so that when it comes to actually getting the floor for the underframe in there, now it's going to be a little bit of a snug fit, but I want to make sure that I can slide that in. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I've been taking a file here, and it's basically, I've got most of it, you know, with the power tool, but now it's just time to do a little filing in order to smooth it out the way we want. Now, also, as I'm doing this, I'm being very, very careful, because you don't want to get too aggressive with this to where all of a sudden you totally break the structural integrity of the weld beads, and then all of a sudden you have parts separating on you. So this is the other thing that I'm doing, to be very, very careful. The funny thing is, and I'm sure that anybody that's ever done any kind of body work will agree, that when it comes to body work and sanding and filling and all that kind of stuff, it is a royal pain in the you-know-what. So this is something that I've been taking my time with, especially for the fact that, as I say, I get bored easily sometimes. So therefore, sand a little bit on it. Okay, looks like I made some progress on it. And then let's put it away for a little bit, come back when we've had a chance to kind of get away from it, and then look at it again. Do I need to do a little bit more? Is it just right? Okay, now is it time for the next part, which would be adding the filler. Okay, hand filing is important, especially if, it's something that it's a little crevice that maybe you can't quite get to with power tools, but I decided I'm going to try something a little different, because I'm feeling on some of these little ridge areas and stuff that I need to knock down, like, okay, I'm trying to do this right, but as the old saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So I decided that I'm actually going to take my belt sander, and there's some areas, especially like along the top where the roof meets the number board section, or the face of the locomotive. Yeah, I could probably gently, knock this down. Beautiful thing about what I'm working with, it's steel. Now, I've made this mistake when I've built plastic models, where took a Dremel tool to a plastic model and got a little too much. But that could happen here, so don't get me wrong. I still have to be careful, but I'm just going to try to lightly touch it and see if I can get the same result a little bit quicker, because, as I said, this is a pain in the you-know-what. So anyway, we're going to give this a shot. Yes. Yes. It's for you, Gary.